The world is a tense place. From the South China Sea to Eastern Europe, fault lines are appearing. Military buildups, cyber attacks, and proxy wars are the new normal. The old rules of international relations are fraying at the edges. The post-Cold War era of relative peace is over. We are entering an era of great power competition. The United States, China, and Russia are vying for influence and dominance. Smaller nations are caught in the middle, forced to choose sides or navigate treacherous waters. The stakes are high. Miscalculations and accidents could have catastrophic consequences. This is not a time for complacency. We must understand the dynamics at play and the potential consequences of inaction. The future of our planet may depend on it. The time for action is now. The great game power plays and alliances. The global stage is being reshaped by a new great game. Old alliances are being tested and new ones are being forged. Countries are scrambling to secure their interests in a rapidly changing world. The balance of power is shifting, creating both opportunities and dangers. China's rise is the most consequential geopolitical event of our time. Its growing economic and military might is challenging the established order. China is asserting itself in its neighborhood and beyond. It is building military bases in the South China Sea and expanding its influence in Africa and Latin America. Russia, under Vladimir Putin, is seeking to restore its former glory. It is flexing its military muscle in Ukraine and Syria. Russia is a revisionist power, determined to undermine the liberal international order. The United States remains the world's sole superpower, but its influence is waning. The European Union is grappling with internal divisions and external challenges. Flashpoints where sparks could ignite. Several regional hotspots could erupt into larger conflicts. These flashpoints are where the interests of major powers intersect and where tensions are highest. They represent the most dangerous places on Earth. The South China Sea is a potential powder keg. China claims almost the entire sea as its own, despite overlapping claims from several Southeast Asian countries. China has been building artificial islands and militarizing them, raising concerns about its intentions. The United States has conducted freedom of navigation operations in the area, angering China. The Korean Peninsula remains on a hair trigger. North Korea under Kim Jong-un continues to develop its nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. Pyongyang has conducted several missile tests in recent months, defying international sanctions. The United States and South Korea have responded with military exercises, further raising tensions. The Middle East is a cauldron of instability. The Syrian civil war has created a humanitarian catastrophe and a breeding ground for terrorism. Iran is expanding its influence in the region, alarming its neighbors and the United States. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains unresolved with no end in sight. The cyber battlefield, silent warfare, real consequences. The nature of warfare is changing. Cyber attacks are becoming increasingly common and sophisticated. They represent a new form of conflict, one that is often invisible but no less real. Cyber warfare has the potential to be just as destructive as conventional warfare, if not more so. Cyber attacks can cripple critical infrastructure, disrupt elections, and steal sensitive information. They can be used to sow discord, undermine trust, and weaken adversaries. The United States, China, and Russia are all engaged in a cyber arms race. They're developing sophisticated cyber weapons and conducting offensive cyber operations. The threat of cyber warfare is real and growing. Section 5. Economic warfare, a different kind of arsenal. The global economy is increasingly weaponized. Countries are using economic tools to achieve geopolitical objectives. Trade wars, sanctions, and investment restrictions are becoming commonplace. Economic warfare is a new form of conflict, one that can be just as damaging as traditional warfare. The United States has imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, sparking a trade war between the world's two largest economies. The Trump administration has also used sanctions to pressure Iran, North Korea, and Venezuela. These measures have had a significant impact on the global economy. China is also using economic leverage to advance its interests. It has been accused of using predatory lending practices to trap developing countries in debt. Russia has used energy as a weapon, cutting off gas supplies to Europe in the past. Economic warfare is a dangerous game. Section 6. The information war, shaping narratives, shaping reality. The battle for hearts and minds is as important as ever. The information space is a new front line in global conflict. Countries are using propaganda, disinformation, and fake news to shape narratives, influence public opinion, and undermine their adversaries. Russia has been a pioneer in information warfare. It has used state-controlled media and social media trolls to spread disinformation and sow discord in the West. China is also investing heavily in its propaganda apparatus. The rise of social media has made it easier for disinformation to spread and for foreign governments to influence public opinion. The information war is a serious threat to democracy and the rules-based international order. Section 7. The human cost of conflict beyond the headlines. It is easy to get caught up in the geopolitical chess game and lose sight of the human cost of conflict. Behind the headlines and the statistics are real people whose lives have been shattered by war and violence. Millions of people have been displaced from their homes by conflict and violence. They are living in refugee camps or struggling to survive in unfamiliar and often hostile environments. They have lost everything: their homes, their livelihoods, their loved ones. Children are particularly vulnerable in times of conflict. They are often the first to suffer from hunger, disease, and lack of education. Women are also disproportionately affected by conflict. The human cost of conflict is immeasurable. Section 8. The fog of uncertainty. Predicting the unpredictable. The future is inherently uncertain. Predicting the course of international relations is a fool's errand. There are too many variables, too many actors, and too many unforeseen events that can disrupt even the most carefully laid plans. However, we can identify trends, assess risks, and prepare for different contingencies. The world is becoming increasingly multipolar. The United States is no longer the only game in town. China is rising, Russia is resurgent, and other powers are asserting themselves. This multipolarity creates both opportunities and challenges. Technology is rapidly evolving, transforming the nature of warfare and international relations. The future of the international system is uncertain. Section 9. Voices from the ground. Perspectives from the front lines. It is important to listen to the voices of those who are most affected by conflict and instability. They have first-hand experience of the human cost of war and violence. They also have insights into the root causes of conflict and the challenges of building peace. I've spoken to countless individuals whose lives have been touched by conflict. Their stories are often heartbreaking, but they are also inspiring. They remind us of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of hope. We must amplify the voices of those who are too often silenced. Section 10. The path forward towards dialogue and de-escalation. The current state of global affairs is concerning, but it is not hopeless. We can still choose a different path, one that leads to dialogue, de-escalation, and ultimately peace. Diplomacy must be our first resort, not our last. We need to engage in dialogue with our adversaries, even when it is difficult. We need to find ways to build trust, identify common ground, and resolve our differences peacefully. We need to strengthen international institutions and norms. The rules-based international order is under threat, but it is still the best system we have for managing global affairs. We need to reform and revitalize these institutions to make them more effective and representative. We need to invest in conflict prevention and peace building. Section 11. Conclusion. Navigating the labyrinth. The world is a complex and dangerous place. We are facing unprecedented challenges, from climate change to global pandemics to the rise of new technologies. These challenges are interconnected and require global solutions. Navigating the labyrinth of global affairs will require wisdom, courage, and a commitment to cooperation. The stakes have never been higher. Let us choose wisely.